I'm actually speaking on behalf of my colleague Sarah, and Mohammed is going to join me as well. So thank you all for being here today. It's great to see you all. For the last many years, and on behalf of the greater community, Catholic Social Services and the Mennonite Center have organized an event like this to join the rest of the world in remembering refugees and displaced peoples, and to honor the journeys refugees have taken that bring them here. Most years, we feel we're quietly doing the work of settlement support and reminding people of the work we do as agencies, but this year is different. This has been a truly amazing year, and one that has been defined by our response to the Syrian refugee crisis, a crisis halfway around the world. Since the photo of little Aylan Kurdi emerged, whose family had applied to come to Canada and was rejected, refugee matters have been much in the spotlight. This story has helped to crystallize for Canadians that the Syrian refugee crisis did have something to do with us, and connected us to the issue in a very emotional way. Within days of the photo, a national response had been ignited, and people across the country were looking for ways that they could help. Once things had been set in motion, it felt like nothing could stop us, and here in Edmonton, people from all corners of the community came together to insist upon welcoming more refugees to our country. Since September, Edmontonians have thirsted for ideas for a response both locally and internationally. And since November, Edmonton has welcomed over 1,500 privately and government-sponsored Syrians. This was the largest amount of new arrivals we have had since the early 80s, when Canada welcomed Vietnamese refugees. What a challenge to rise to. How could we step up to this? Many other cities in Canada actually had to slow down the rate of Syrian arrivals. But because Edmontonians came together so beautifully, Syrians just kept coming to Edmonton. Edmontonians have been incredibly welcoming. Agencies, organizations, and community groups jumped in and wholeheartedly supported one another.
We organized welcome communities at the airport.
Children of all ages spearheaded different projects and fundraisers.
New community groups formed to sponsor families.
Seniors helped fill sponsorship applications.
Different religious groups came together for interfaith sponsorships.
Donations flowed in an astounding rate.
Libraries jumped in and provided responses and flexible contribution.
Music groups stepped forward to welcome and connect people.
First Nation group worked with us to extend welcome to Treaty 6 territory.
Gatherings brought people together to connect the newest community to the larger community.
Bakeries, restaurants, and chefs contributed to our welcoming effort.
Dentists and other medical professions donated time and services.
A huge amount of volunteers contributed so much time and love.
And the list goes on. We've created a beautiful quilt together. We are a community that wants to provide a safe place for those who need it. And we will come together to work hard to provide a warm welcome for those who arrive in Edmonton in search of safety and a new future. And yet, there are many left behind. One of the more poignant aspects of getting to know our recent arrivals are the many friends and relatives who are still wondering how to hope for their future. This situation is not just the Syrian story, but many situations of conflict across the world that in some ways we are all connected to and responsible for. The worry and care that refugees bring with them about people left behind seems to extend into local care for those around them. Refugees from other places, new friends and community, and most recently, a significant reaching out to the Fort McMurray evacuees who have joined our community. It is heartwarming to watch the cross-community connections that have evolved through both of these crises as newcomers and oldcomers reach out together. We have so much to learn from one another. Our presentation so far has been in broad strokes, but I would like to turn this over to a real story of a Syrian family who arrived in our community on December 31, 2015. This is a family that has joined community, created community, and contributed so much in their short time in Canada. In their first couple of weeks, they were already volunteering at emergency relief, sorting donations. They joined our efforts to welcome new arrivals at the hotel and at community gatherings, have interpreted for various library activities, and have performed at a number of events and fundraisers. Most recently, they volunteered to organize and distribute donations for the Fort McMurray evacuees. When they first learned about the fire, they immediately offered to open up their home for evacuees. And they have an open invitation to join them for coffee anytime.